When my son exposed my worth in our home, I discovered an incredible, life-changing truth. Thomas was like any other dad at the local factory, with calloused hands and tired eyes weighed down by the burden of providing for his spirited 10-year-old son, Josh. Each day, he clocked in with the hope that his long hours might one day lead to something better, but the bills piled high like unforgiving mountains, making dreams feel out of reach. Despite the scars of economic inequality running deep, he was determined to give his son a brighter future, one with lessons learned through sacrifice. Yet as the sun sank behind the town's fading skyline, he often questioned if he was enough in a world obsessed with wealth over character. One rainy Saturday afternoon, fate threw them a curveball. The school had assigned a family heritage project. "Dad, let's dig through the attic," Josh exclaimed, eyes sparkling with excitement. Climbing into the dusty space filled with memories, they stumbled upon old photographs, brittle letters, and laughter echoed by their shared adventure. As they sifted through treasured relics, nostalgia filled the air, banishing shadows of self-doubt. Josh's laughter danced between the musty boxes. "Look, Dad, that SU with the biggest fish." Thomas chuckled, recalling the fishing trips with his own father. "And that was your grandma's quilt. She worked so hard making it," he added, voice quivering with emotion. Through shared stories, Josh began to see beyond the worn-out shoes and faded work shirts, and started to notice the integrity that defined the man they called Dad. The next community gathering, a moment unfolded that would forever alter Thomas's perception of himself. In a surge of bravery, a fellow worker began to recount an incident where Thomas had stepped in to help during a crisis at the factory, displaying both selflessness and courage. The crowd listened intently, nodding, impressed. As recognition washed over him like sunlight breaking through clouds. Josh's heart swelled, spurred by admiration. Unable to contain himself, he stood and said, "My dad isn't just a factory worker." His voice quivered, yet each word carried the weight of love. "He's been strong for me, every day, showing that success isn't about money. It's about how much you care." The room erupted in applause, emotions soaring as Thomas's chest tightened with pride and disbelief. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let us continue. As the enthusiasm waned, a subtle tension settled over the gathering. Thomas felt the weight shift, yet the fear crept back in. Would they truly see him as more than a poor father? Could deep-rooted perceptions fade away? Doubt clung to him like a shadow, threatening to drown out this newfound self-worth. In the quiet, he and Josh exchanged a glance, a wordless bond known only to them. "Does love really speak louder than money?" Josh whispered, barely above a hush. Under the town's fading sunset, Thomas's heart raced with unanswered questions. What does it mean to be a good father and a worthy man in this society, so often consumed by material wealth? The following week, Thomas found himself caught in a whirlwind of emotions. Each morning, as the factory doors opened, he felt part of a larger machine, a cog moving in rhythm with others on the same struggle. He knew the sound of the machines by heart, but it was Josh's voice that clung to him like a soft melody, reminding him of what truly mattered. On a particularly quiet Tuesday, with the factory floor humming softly, Thomas daydreamed of the future. Could they be more than just a dad and son scraping by? Memories of the attic adventures drove him to dig deeper into what he could offer. Determined, he resolved to take an active role in Josh's school life. "How about I come in for your class project?" Thomas asked over dinner, hope sparking in his chest. Josh's eyes lit up, a smile breaking across his face. "Really? That would be awesome." The excitement pouring from his son lit a flame of purpose within Thomas. Days went by in a blur of preparation, filled with laughter as they pieced together their family's narrative. They created a poster tracing their lineage and storytelling traditions. Thomas even brought out the old quilt, a vibrant patchwork of colors that his mother had made. The day of the school presentation arrived, and as they walked into the classroom, Thomas's heart raced. The room buzzed with chatter, kids showcasing their projects with pride. As they took their turn, Thomas spoke not just as a father or factory worker, but as a storyteller. He shared tales of his lineage, of struggles and triumphs, resilience woven through generations. The room fell quiet, eyes glued to him. There was a powerful energy in the air, a connection forming that transcended the confines of their small town. Kids leaned forward, hanging on to every word, and Josh's beaming smile was a balm for Thomas's nerves. Suddenly, a girl in the back raised her hand. What if someone is poor, but still really smart and nice? Her question echoed in the room. Thomas paused, realizing the depth of her inquiry, the layers of what they often overlooked. Being poor doesn't define what you can achieve, he responded, holding Josh's hand tightly. Success isn't about money. It's about your heart, your determination to uplift others, and how you treat those around you. At that moment, he saw the classroom transform, light bulbs flickering in young minds, new ideas budding. It didn't matter that he wore faded clothes or worked long hours. What mattered was the heartfelt connection and the lessons passed down through generations. When the presentation concluded, joy overflowed in the room. Josh's friends surrounded him, and as they exchanged compliments, Thomas felt a warmth rise within him that was indescribable. He realized that love, respect, and connection had the power to bridge any divide. As they left the classroom, Josh squeezed his father's hand, full of pride. "You're more than just a factory worker, Dad. You're my hero." Those words echoed in Thomas's heart. But deep down, he wondered if this newfound perspective would last. That evening, just as the sun dipped below the horizon, Thomas sat on the porch, reflecting. Was this change permanent, or merely a fleeting moment? Could he keep finding strength not just for himself, but for others who felt lost and detached? In the distance, a storm was brewing. A fierce wind began to howl, an unsettling anticipation hanging in the air. Was something or someone about to shake up everything he had come to understand? Thomas looked down the street, feeling a pull toward the unknown. Would he be ready for whatever was coming next? The next day, Thomas woke to the sound of rain tapping against the window. As he got dressed, the rhythmic patter drew his thoughts back to last night's presentation. He still felt the warmth of Josh's praise hovering in the air. A part of him wanted to cling to that moment, to the glow of validation he had felt standing in front of those bright-eyed kids. Yet the rain felt like a shroud over his budding confidence. He pushed the thought aside and headed to the factory. The air was thick with the scent of wet metal and oil, but as he walked through the familiar halls, a sense of unease gnawed at him. Was he really changing? The day dragged on, machines whirring in cyclical harmony, but Thomas's mind kept wandering back to that moment in the classroom. He thought about the girl's question and the response that had come so quickly, fueled by something deep inside him. Could he be more than what people assumed? By lunch, the intimidating clouds from the morning had lifted slightly, revealing patches of blue sky. Thomas decided to take his break outside. The food tasted bland, but as he ate, he watched some kids playing in the nearby park, their laughter floating through the air like music. It was pure and unfiltered, a reminder of the joy that could exist outside of work. Suddenly, a sharp voice broke through his thoughts. "Hey Thomas, you coming to the fundraiser this Saturday?" It was Mike, a fellow worker known for his laid-back demeanor. Thomas hesitated, recalling the flyers posted around the factory about supporting the local arts program. "I don't know, Mike. I've got a lot going on. Maybe I'll just skip it," he replied, deflecting. Mike shrugged, a playful smirk on his face. "Come on, man. It's important. Your boy is gonna be there, right? Think how proud he'd be seeing you support something he cares about." Thomas felt a prick of guilt, but brushed it off. He couldn't shake the discomfort writhing in his stomach. Pushing through the rest of the day felt like trudging in mud. Each mechanical clank of the factory deepened the longing he felt for something different, something better. That evening, after finishing dinner, Thomas faced Josh, who sat cross-legged on the couch, eyes focused on a board game. "Hey buddy, you excited for the fundraiser this weekend?" "Yeah, I can't wait. It will be fun to see everyone." Josh's enthusiasm radiated. Thomas nodded, masking his inner turmoil. "You think I should go?" Josh looked up, meeting his father's gaze. "Of course. It'll be so cool for everyone to see you there." You could even show how our family supports art, just like we talked about. The boy's innocent optimism struck a chord deep within Thomas. His heart wrestled with apprehension and expectation. It wasn't just about the fundraiser. This felt like a test of his commitment not only to his son, but to himself. That night, Thomas lay awake, staring at the ceiling. He wanted to decide, to push through the anxiety holding him back, but doubt echoed louder than hope. As he finally drifted into sleep, the whisper of the storm clouds returned, swirling around his mind. The next morning brought the promise of new beginnings, but what would it take for him to embrace them? Could he step out of his comfort zone and face the world in a new light? As the sun rose, painting the sky with hues of determination, a soft knock on his door disrupted his thoughts. Who could it be this early? Curiosity tugged at him as he headed toward the sound. What awaited him could change everything. Thomas opened the door slowly, the soft creak echoing in the quiet morning. Standing there was Mrs. Jenkins, his neighbor, with a bright smile barely held back by the blur of gray hair and the thick navy cardigan she wore. A pie rested in her hands, steam curling from the crust, filling the air with the sweet scent of apples and cinnamon. "Good morning, Thomas. I thought I'd bring you and Josh a little something to brighten your day," she said, her voice warm like the sunshine breaking through the clouds. "Thanks, Mrs. Jenkins," he replied, forcing a smile as the heaviness in his chest eased momentarily. He stepped aside, inviting her in. She shuffled past him, her age showing slightly in the way she leaned against the door frame. "Heard you're thinking about the fundraiser. I think it's wonderful. It's so important for the kids around here." He nodded, the mention of the fundraiser bringing back the rush of guilt. "Yeah, I'm not sure yet if I'll go." But you should. Kids love to see their parents involved. It shows them they matter," she said, placing the pie on the kitchen island. Her eyes seemed to sparkle with understanding, like she could sense the inner battle he was fighting. As she spoke about the local art programs and how they changed lives, Thomas felt a familiar stirring in his chest. It wasn't just about showing support. It was about being present, about being the father Josh needed. Mrs. Jenkins' voice faded into the background as his thoughts raced. He thought of his son, the way his face lit up with passion, the way he talked about art as if it were magic. After Mrs. Jenkins left, he found Josh sitting at the dining table, doodling in his sketchbook. The boy looked up, eyebrows raised. "What did she say?" "She brought us a pie. Said I should go to the fundraiser," Thomas replied, trying to catch a glimmer of inspiration from Josh's eyes. "Did you tell her you weren't sure?" Josh asked, his tone shifting from eagerness to concern. Thomas hesitated. "I mean, we talked about it, but I don't know." Josh put down his pencil and leaned forward, resting his chin on his hands. "But Dad, it would mean a lot. You could meet my friends and the teachers," and his voice trailed off, a hint of pleading in his tone. "I want you to be there. You always say I could do anything, but it helps when you show up." Those words landed heavy in the stillness of the kitchen. A part of him wanted to wrap his son in a hug, tell him he was going to be there, that he would be part of this life-changing moment. But the fear of stepping into the spotlight wrapped around him again. "What if I let you down?" he finally asked, vulnerability creeping in. Josh frowned, his small hands clenched anxiously on the table. "You won T. You're my dad. You just have to show up." The weight of those simple words startled Thomas. It was the kind of truth that jolted one's spirit awake. In this moment, he realized that it wasn't just about the fundraiser. It was about the message it sent to his son. As Josh resumed sketching, Thomas' mind raced with thoughts of what could happen if he took that leap. A fresh urgency settled in his chest, igniting a blend of hope and fear that sent a thrill running through him. What if this was the catalyst he needed for change? What if showing up at that fundraiser changed everything for both of them? Before he could second-guess himself, he said, "You know what? I think I'll go." Josh's face lit up with an infectious grin, filling the room with a light so bright it chased away the shadows. But as excitement bubbled in his son's laughter, Thomas felt a shiver of uncertainty. Would he truly be able to step up as the father Josh believed he could be? The upcoming fundraiser wasn't just an event, it was a crossroads. As the sun set on the horizon, painting the sky with colors of the unknown, Thomas began to realize that sometimes the biggest leap of faith leads to unexpected lands. Would he be ready when the moment arrived? The clock was ticking down to Saturday, and Thomas couldn't shake the feeling that he was about to confront something. life-changing in ways he never anticipated. How much of himself was he truly ready to uncover? The morning of the fundraiser arrived faster than Thomas anticipated. The sun peered through the curtains, casting a warm glow across the breakfast table where Josh was already lost in his drawings. His pencil flew across the page, capturing ideas that danced in his mind. Each stroke seemed to pulse with excitement, and Thomas couldn't help but smile at his son's energy. "Are you ready, Dad?" Josh looked up, his eyes shining with a confidence that was contagious. "I really want you to see my art piece." "Yeah, I'll be there," Thomas replied, though the flutter of nerves twisted his stomach. He couldn't shake the tightness in his chest. The thought of stepping into the school gym, a sea of familiar faces, felt intimidating. But he reminded himself of Josh's words. Just show up. As they drove to the school, the chatter of kids and laughter echoed in the air. It was a vibrant scene, a stark contrast to the darkness that often clouded Thomas's mind. Josh pointed to friends waving at him, their faces lit up with joy. Each wave made Thomas's heart swell as he thought about the importance of moments like these. "Dad, do you think everyone will like my piece?" Josh asked, his wiry frame bouncing a bit in his seat, trying to catch a glimpse of the school ahead. "Of course they will. You put so much heart into it." And he meant it. Josh had this gift, a spark of creativity that shined brighter than anything. Thomas wished he could believe for himself what he believed for his son. As they parked, the reality of the fundraiser settled in. The school was buzzing. Children dashed around, parents mingled, and everyone seemed to know each other, a tight-knit community that felt both welcoming and alien to Thomas. He brushed his hands nervously against his jeans, feeling the weight of expectation. "Let us go," Josh urged, bounding ahead as he clutched his sketchbook tightly to his chest. Thomas followed, urging his feet to catch up. The gym doors opened wide, revealing a room spruced up with colorful art displayed on every wall. Parents walked around, admiring the talent of the young artists. In that moment, Thomas felt like an outsider. His heart thumped louder with each step closer to the center of this life. What if he didn't belong here? What if everyone noticed his anxiety? But as Josh navigated through the crowd with confidence, Thomas caught a glimpse of his son's artwork pinned up proudly. It was a breathtaking piece, a vivid explosion of colors that seemed to tell a story all on its own. When Josh turned to him with a grin, it was an anchor in the sea of doubt. "Can you believe it?" The boy's eyes glimmered. "That's my work. That's amazing, buddy." Thomas felt a rush of pride wash over him. In that moment, the nerves began to fade. Josh's confidence was contagious. The atmosphere buzzed with energy, and for the first time, Thomas allowed a smile to grow. As they approached Josh's art piece, a few parents gathered around, chatting and praising the creativity on display. Thomas's heart warmed at the camaraderie, and he felt a pull to join the conversations. "Is that your son's work?" one parent asked, nudging Thomas gently forward. Yes," Thomas replied, suddenly aware of how small his voice was amid the laughter and chatter. "He really enjoys art. He's got incredible talent." "You must be so proud," the parent said, eyes sparkling with admiration. "Yeah, I am." The words came out slower than he intended, but the feeling behind them surged forward. There was pride in his chest, and the truth about his worth blossomed within. Suddenly, it hit him. He wasn't just a spectator anymore. He was part of this world, connected to Josh and the joy radiating around them. As more parents gathered around, sharing laughs and supportive words for the young artists, something shifted in Thomas. The heaviness began to unravel. He could see how these connections mattered, how they brought people together. But just as he began to breathe easier, he spotted someone familiar across the room, an old friend he hadn't seen in years. His heart raced. Would they even recognize him? Suddenly, the question loomed large. Could he talk to them? Could he continue this journey of connection and acceptance, or would he retreat back into himself? As the crowd continued to flow around him, Thomas stood at a crossroads once again. The moment stretched before him, teetering on the brink of a revelation that could change everything. Thomas's gaze locked onto the familiar face in the crowd, feeling the weight of memories flood back, days filled with laughter, shared dreams, and then time that slipped away. He hadn't spoken to Alex in so long. The years had distanced them, but the friendship still tugged at his heart. "Dad," Josh's voice broke through the rush of emotions. He waved his hand in front of Thomas's face, trying to pull him back into the moment. Are you okay? Yeah, buddy, I'm fine, Thomas managed to respond, though the turmoil inside felt anything but calm. Should he approach? Felt like a decision with stakes he could hardly comprehend. Before he could talk himself out of it, he took a deep breath and stepped forward. The room spun with colors and laughter, but he kept his focus on Alex, who was chatting animatedly with another parent. He moved forward, each step feeling like an accomplishment. Alex, it's been a long time, Thomas said once he was close enough. His voice was steadier than he felt. Alex turned, surprise etched into his features. Recognition sparked in his eyes, quickly followed by warmth. Tom, wow, it's so good to see you. How've you been? The two exchanged pleasantries, but there was an unspoken depth in their conversation, a bridge between the past and present. I'm here for Josh, Thomas explained, gesturing to his son proudly, still displaying his artwork. Oh, this must be him. Alex's smile widened when he noticed Josh enthusiastically showing off his piece to anyone who would listen. I had no idea you had a little artist. Yeah, he has quite the talent, Thomas replied, his heart swelling. The happiness radiating from Josh softened the years of hesitance and self-doubt that as they talked. The small talk deepened, touching on memories, missed connections, and the challenges of parenthood. Thomas began to feel a sense of belonging. It was a small shift, but significant. It was as if he was reclaiming a little piece of himself he thought he'd lost. Honestly, Thomas, it seems like you're doing an amazing job, Alex said sincerely. It's not easy juggling everything, but you're here for him, and that's what matters. For a moment, Thomas felt seen. A warmth spread through him, thawing the chill of loneliness he carried for so long. Thanks, Alex. That means a lot, he replied, sincerity in every word. Suddenly, a loud cheer erupted from the group around Josh. Caught up in the excitement, he swirled around, beaming. I sold it, Dad. I sold my art piece. The disbelief and elation painted joy across his innocent face. Thomas's heart soared. His son had stepped into a light he couldn't quite believe. Maybe this was what it meant to truly connect. Wow, that's amazing, Josh. I'm so proud of you. He hugged his son, and in that simple gesture, he felt the bond tightening between them. Josh was beaming, and that joy mirrored in Thomas's eyes a reflection of a new beginning. Then Thomas turned back to Alex, wanting to share the moment. But Alex was already engaged in conversation with someone else, laughter ringing out like music. That knot of uncertainty in Thomas tightened, but the victory inside him pushed him to stay. Maybe I can be brave too, he thought. As the crowd moved and the laughter rolled on, he found his footing. Joy bubbled within him, contrasting the anxiety that often plagued him. While awe swept through, something else sparked, a desire to keep reaching out, to keep finding more, to keep connecting. But just as he felt ready to take that next step, Josh promptly ran over, tugging at his sleeve, eyes wide and shimmering with excitement. Dad, look at this. I want to show you something amazing. A flash of anticipation filled Thomas as he followed Josh, heart racing. What new depths of discovery awaited them today? But would the spark between him and Alex fade like so many before, or was this a chance for truly lasting connections? Josh rushed toward a nearby table covered in vibrant paint supplies, his small hands already smeared with colors that matched his artwork. Thomas could see the excitement bubbling in his son's chest, an energy that was almost infectious. Watching Josh, he felt a sense of pride swell within him. But beneath that was a flicker of anxiety. He didn't want to lose this moment to distractions or old fears. Look, Dad, Josh exclaimed, pulling aside a piece of paper littered with playful brush strokes. I made a new one. It's going to be even better. Thomas leaned closer, his heart dancing at the sight of Josh's creativity flowing freely. Each swirl and dash, full of whimsy, told a story that was unique to his son. This is fantastic. Tell me about it, he encouraged, his voice full of warmth. It's a dragon, Josh said with uncontainable excitement. He's flying over the mountains, and he's made of fire. Can you see the flames? As Josh animatedly described his latest masterpiece, Thomas couldn't shake the feeling that he was witnessing more than just his son's art. He was also seeing a reflection of himself of moments when he had let his own aspirations flicker and dim. Wishing he could be more like Josh, unrestrained and fearless in pursuit of what made him happy. Suddenly, a familiar laugh broke through their moment. Thomas turned, and sure enough, it was Alex, now sporting a mischievous grin as he approached them. "What is happening over here? Sharing secrets?" he teased, his jovial nature lighting up the air around them. "Just admiring my artist," Thomas replied, a hint of pride in his tone. "Hey, I artate too," Josh piped up, holding out the crumpled paper like it was the greatest treasure in the world. "I want you to see my fire dragon." Alex crouched down to Josh's level, eyes sparkling. "Whoa, that's amazing, buddy. I've never seen a dragon like this one. Looks fierce." They smiled at one another, the connection seeming to weave between the three of them. Thomas watched, a mix of gratitude and warmth swelling in his heart. Maybe this was the spark he had yearned for. The sort of genuine interaction that could mend the threads of his past and stitch up the wounds he thought were too deep to heal. Then a thought punctured his joy. What if moments like this slipped away again? Would he retreat to uncertainty when he could be reaching out instead? "Well," Alex began, leaning back to look at Thomas, "we should grab lunch together. It'd be fun to catch up the way we used to. What do you say?" Thomas's heart stalled for a second as a wave of anxiety threatened to pull him under. Could he do this, really? "Yeah, I'd love that," he replied, surprised by his own response. Josh jumped up and down, ready and excited. "Can I help pick?" "Of course." Alex laughed, ruffling Josh's hair affectionately before nudging Thomas with his shoulder. "Maybe we can find somewhere with a view of the mountains. It'll be like your dragon flying, Josh." "Yeah," Josh agreed. And for a moment, Thomas felt a chill run down his spine. Was he really stepping into the open, ready to embrace companionship again? As they made their way through the bustling room, laughter and chatter filled the air, but Thomas couldn't shake the deeper thought lurking in the back of his mind. This moment felt different, charged with possibility. Was it truly the beginning of something revitalizing? The three of them stepped outside, the crisp air hitting their faces, and there was a sense of hope. Perhaps navigating this new friendship could also mean rediscovering parts of himself he thought were lost for good. But just as they started walking towards the diner, Josh paused, spinning on his heel. "Wait, what about the art gallery next week? Can we go together?" A moment of stillness blanketed them. Thomas's heart skipped. He had been hesitant to think about the future, but with a hopeful drive within him, he replied, "Why not? Let us make it a date." As they continued onward, excitement coursing through him, Thomas found himself wondering what other surprises lay ahead. Would this rekindled friendship lead to the kind of transformation he'd always hoped for? And for the first time in a long time, life felt like it was just starting to unfold in all its vivid splendor. What challenges awaited them next? The walk to the diner was alive with chatter and laughter. Josh darted ahead, a little whirlwind of energy, chattering about his dragon and its fiery adventures. Thomas watched him, a smile stretching across his face. The way Josh's eyes sparkled made everything feel bright again, and he found himself momentarily lost in the joy of the moment. "Do you think there are real dragons out there?" Josh asked, eyes wide with wonder. Alex chuckled. "Only if you believe hard enough. Right, Thomas?" "Absolutely," Thomas replied, meeting Alex's teasing gaze. The weight of his previous worries felt lighter in the presence of his son's boundless imagination and Alex's banter. They arrived at the diner, its neon sign flickering cheerfully against the afternoon sky. The smell of fresh coffee and grilled burgers wafted through the air. As they settled into a cozy booth, Thomas felt a sudden rush of nostalgia wash over him. This had been their spot, a corner of laughter and camaraderie before life had pulled them in different directions. "Can I have pancakes?" Josh piped up, looking at the menu with an eagerness only kids possess. "Pancakes it is." Thomas chuckled, caught up in Josh's enthusiasm. He felt a sense of fulfillment in simple decisions, moments of connection that once seemed so far away that as they waited for their food, Alex filled the space with stories, funny misadventures from his work, recounting the antics of mutual friends. Thomas listened, but his thoughts drifted. Memories flashed back times when Alex felt like a brother. Josh interjected, "Tell Dad about the time you got stuck in the tree, Alex." "Oh man, you've heard that one." Alex laughed, scratching his head. "Just the best parts." Josh thrived on the drama, clearly enjoying being the center of attention. The laughter came naturally, and as Thomas joined in, he felt a warmth seep into his chest. Could moments like this redefine what it meant to feel alive again? Yet, buried in the joy, the anxiety still lurked, whispering reminders of past failures. After their meals were cleared away, Josh suddenly grew quiet. He looked at Thomas, his little face serious. "Dad, why don't you paint? You have to. You're really good." Thomas felt the air shift. "I used to, buddy. It's just been a long time." "Is it because you don't have time?" Josh persisted, his voice earnest. "No, not exactly." Thomas hesitated, the old doubts creeping in. Sometimes people forget what they love when they grow up." Josh's small brow furrowed. "You should paint again. It's fun. I want to see your dragon." At that moment, Thomas felt like the weight of the world had shifted. Josh was looking at him as if he held the secret to the universe. "You really think I should?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Of course," Josh exclaimed, eyes shining with sincerity. "We can paint together." Thomas's heart swelled. Would it be possible to reconnect with a passion he once loved, through the eyes of his son? The realization was like a door cracking open within him, light pouring through the gap, and he felt a surge of hope wash over him. "Okay, I'll try. Just for you," he promised. As they left the diner, hand in hand, Thomas found himself buoyed by a new purpose. Maybe stepping into this vulnerability would unlock something he had long buried. But just as they stepped outside, Josh suddenly squeaked, "Dad, what if my dragon meets your dragon? They could team up to save the world. Now that's a story I can get behind." Thomas laughed, feeling the warmth of connection radiate around him. But even amidst the laughter, that familiar anxiety simmered below the surface. What if he couldn't live up to these expectations? What if hesitation slipped back in before he could take flight? And somewhere within, a gripping realization sparked. Was this chance at rediscovery worth risking it all? As the sun dipped low in the sky, painting everything in a golden hue, Thomas found himself filled with both excitement and trepidation. How far could he go when the brave little artist inside him awoke? And would it lead them to unexpected adventures? Together? The walk home felt different. Thomas could still hear the echo of laughter from the diner, but beneath it, a vibrant hum began to resonate within him. He stole quick glances at Josh, who was now lost in an elaborate narrative about his dragon's next adventure, this time featuring a quest to find the legendary golden egg. Each word spilled out of Josh with a creativity that illuminated even the dullest corners of Thomas's mind. And then, they meet a fairy who can make wishes. Josh exclaimed, "Eyes sparkling. That sounds amazing. What wish do they make?" Thomas engaged, caught up in the magic of his son's storytelling. Josh paused, tapping his chin thoughtfully. "To save the entire kingdom, of course." The laugh that escaped Thomas felt genuine and bright. The simple innocence of his child's imagination was pulling him out of his own tangled thoughts. Yet, the swirling uncertainty remained. As much as Josh's ideas inspired him, Thomas wondered about his own abilities, if he could still produce the vibrant colors that once burst onto his canvas. Arriving home, they stepped into the familiar chaos-cluttered toys, a few coats strewn on the furniture, and the faint scent of leftover pizza lingering in the air. It was a comforting mess, a testament to their life together. "Can we paint now, Dad?" Josh tilted his head, peering up at him as if sizing him up. "Right now?" The question surprised Thomas. He hadn't prepared for an immediate leap into that world. "Please?" Josh's eyes widened. "I want to paint my dragon." The plea struck him like a chord. Here was this little soul, so boldly claiming his passions. Thomas felt the familiar fear tugging at his heart, but he pushed it back. With a deep breath, he nodded. "Okay, let us do it." In moments, they gathered supplies. The smell of fresh paint mingled with anticipation as they spread an old sheet on the kitchen table. Thomas's hands trembled slightly as he opened the tubes of paint, uncertain how to blend his hesitations with the excitement radiating from Josh. "Which colors should I use for the dragon?" Josh asked, his spirit unshaken. Let us see." Thomas picked up a bright green and a fiery red. "How about these?" "Perfect. But we need sparkles too." With that, Josh darted to the art cupboard and returned triumphantly with glitter. As they began to paint, the kitchen became a flurry of color swooshes of paint on canvas and joyful giggles escaping from Josh as he challenged his dad to keep up with his imaginative ideas. "Watch, Dad. Look how the wings shimmer." Josh beamed, his eyes ablaze with passion. In the midst of their creative frenzy, Thomas felt something shift. For the first time in years, he wasn't just a spectator. He was creating, he was alive, and more importantly, he was sharing this with his son. He dipped his brush, feeling the cold paint slide against the bristles, and as he swiped the canvas, it felt like a wall inside him was giving way. Time slipped by unnoticed as they lost themselves in a world of color and laughter, with Josh leading the way and Thomas finally following his heart instead of his fears. But as the final touches were applied to their masterpiece, Thomas suddenly halted, the nagging thought creeping back, and could he really reclaim this part of himself? Could he allow his artistry to flourish again? The fear of failure loomed like a shadow, threatening to snatch away the joy they had created. "Dad," Josh interrupted his thoughts. "I can't wait to show everyone our dragon. It's going to be legendary." Thomas turned to look at his son, the spark of hope in Josh's face igniting something deep within him. Maybe the real adventure had just begun. As they stepped back to admire their work, Thomas couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning, but would he be brave enough to continue on this path and discover what other wonders awaited just beyond his fears? The next morning dawned bright and sunny, casting warm rays into Thomas's bedroom. He lay in bed, the vivid memory of the previous night washing over him, the laughter, the paint, the bond deepening between him and Josh. It felt like a fresh start, like the morning sun breaking through after a long, stormy night. That day, Thomas would go to the park, where the local community art festival was in full swing. He filled with excitement and unease, aware that this was more than just a festival. It was the test of all he had been working towards. After breakfast, Josh rushed like a whirlwind, ready to explore, his little backpack stuffed with colored chalk and a sketch pad. "Can we find the big mural? I want to add my dragon," he exclaimed with a heart full of dreams. Thomas held out his hand, joy bubbling inside him. "Let us go. I need to show everyone our dragon, too." As they made their way to the festival, the park buzzed with families, laughter, and children bouncing around with crafts and colors stretching out like a playground of imagination. The air was sweet with cotton candy and fresh paint, a perfect atmosphere for creativity to thrive. They reached the mural spot, a beautiful canvas painted by other community artists, overflowing with color and life. It was the perfect backdrop to share their vision. "Dad, look. Let us go ask if we can add our own piece to it." Josh pointed excitedly. Thomas hesitated, the voice of self-doubt creeping in. "Are you sure they want us to add anything? We're just us." But he looked down at Josh's eager face, the absolute unwavering belief in his eyes. In that moment, something shifted within him. "Okay, let us go for it," he agreed, feeling a wave of courage wash over him. They approached the mural, vibrant creativity buzzing around them. The mural coordinator welcomed them warmly, her smile as bright as the colors on the wall. "Of course, everyone is welcome to contribute. What do you want to add?" Josh beamed, holding up his sketch. "My dragon. And Dad is going to paint it big with all these colors." The coordinator's eyes widened. "That sounds fantastic. Go ahead." With each brush stroke, Thomas felt the familiar joy of painting flooding back, the colors dancing on the huge canvas before him. He started to lose himself in the rhythm of the brush, watching as Josh enthusiastically added in his own ideas, with sparkles and swirls emerging from their combined visions. "Look, Dad, the dragon can fly over the mountains," Josh shouted, his little voice bursting with excitement. Thomas glanced at his son with awe, witnessing the pure joy radiating from him. It was as if they were manifesting a dream together, a living testament to every moment that had led them here. As the mural began to take shape, people started to gather around, pausing to admire the sight. They watched, intrigued and encouraged by the transformation unfolding before them. A man in the crowd stepped forward to snap a photo. "What a beautiful collaboration. My daughter would love this." As the mural progressed, Thomas noticed familiar faces from the school, the factory, and the neighborhood, their smiles shining bright in support. Suddenly, a figure broke from the crowd, Alex, arm raised in greeting. "You guys are amazing," he called. In that moment, Thomas blossomed with confidence. Color and connection wrapped around him like an embrace. "It feels good, doesn't it?" he said as they continued adding layers. "Just letting everything out?" Josh nodded fervently, a sparkle of inspiration in his eyes. "It's so much fun. You're my dragon sidekick, Dad." With each stroke, Thomas saw more than just a mural forming on the wall. He saw the transformation of their lives, how art had allowed them to bridge gaps, to create ties of love and understanding. When the mural was finished, a vibrant dragon soared amid swirling colors and mountains, an emblem of their journey. People clapped, cheers erupted, and the sense of community surrounded them like a warm blanket. Tears pricked Thomas's eyes. He felt gratitude wash over him like a summer rain. As they stepped back to admire their work, it occurred to Thomas how often he had doubted his own value. This was living proof his worth wasn't measured in money or status, but in love, creativity, and presence. With an exuberant heart, he turned to Josh. "You know, buddy, I think we're onto something special here. Forever." Josh beamed back, and in that moment, Thomas knew he was ready to carry this forward, not just for himself or even for Josh, but for everyone who felt disconnected in this chaotic world. As the day faded into sunset and they walked home, Thomas felt different. He felt like more than just a factory worker. He was a father, an artist, a storyteller, creating a ripple of positivity they could share with others. The weight of fear melted away with each step. They discussed what to paint next, unleashing visions bigger than either had dared imagine. They laughed, they dreamed, and as they entered their home, Thomas realized that love and creativity could spark transformation both for him and for everyone they touched in their lives. So, as their adventure continued, one thing was certain. Parenthood was more than just providing. It was about participating fully in life's vivid tapestry together, joining voices to create beauty in a world that often forgot the simple magic of sharing. And that night, as they curled up together, Thomas whispered softly, "You know what, son? Together, we can paint anything we want." He felt a radiant smile bloom on his face, a hope blossoming in his heart. "Let us save the world one dragon at a time." Josh piped in, laughter dancing in the air. And with that, they drifted off, dreaming of their next adventure yet to come. This is it, folks. The journey has been incredible, but there's more ahead. You need to subscribe now to keep following these exclusive stories. Don't wait, not even one more second. Leave a like right now to help feed the algorithm so others can enjoy this transformation, just like you did. Comment below and share your thoughts and feelings about this ending, what resonated with you. And don't forget to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation in their lives. Your support means everything. Let us create a community where love and courage transform lives together.